Well, welcome everyone to this episode of Advocacy in Action, where we dive into real world strategies that power your political engagement. I'm your host, Liz Byrd.
And I'm also your host, Kim Durcho. And we're here today to talk through trends in government relations we're seeing through the second quarter of 2025. It's hard to believe that we are halfway through the year, but here we are. We're also going to discuss some actionable strategies you can consider using for your political affairs programs as we head towards the critical 2026 midterm elections.
No pressure, I guess. So we should just dive in with that, Kim. I have a few questions for you. I know you have some for me, but one I wanted to start off with is what are one or two high-level trends that you've seen appear through our member poll surveys during the second quarter?
So it's interesting when we first started preparing for this episode, I thought, oh, I'll pull out like two, three, maybe four high level trends that we're seeing across the PAC questions we've asked, the advocacy questions we've asked, and there'll be a number of different themes, right? Well, there are a handful, but at the end of the day, I really found just kind of one thread that really connected everything. So I figured, why not just talk about that?
Yeah.
And that theme is that people are really leaning into engaging with their senior leadership. And this looks a little bit different across PAC and grassroots advocacy, but at the end of the day, they are really trying to get senior leaders engaged, whether it's asking for PAC money, getting them to actually make a solicitation on their behalf, or even weaving this into their advocacy programs as well. And I'll call out a few statistics. We won't do a lot of data heavy conversation here today. But a few things I did find interesting. The first is that a majority of our members focused on soliciting their organization's C-suite, and that was 33%. But then they also were focusing on their senior leadership team, which was another 33%. So all in, about 66% of people responded that those were their real target groups for their PAC solicitations during this quarter. We also wanted to dig in on, and this was actually a question from some of our members, just to, again, gauge the pulse of what the full membership is doing. But we had a few folks ask us how people are approaching their board of directors, especially at the corporate level. And we actually found that 60% of our respondents said that they are soliciting their board. So we're really targeting these kind of three top groups, the real high level folks in the organization. On the flip side, when it came to actually making the ask for money, the solicitation for the PAC, we found that over 33% of respondents said their leadership involvement in these solicitations was actually the most powerful tool. So when it comes to PAC, people are just leaning in on engaging their leaders. I'd love to know how that kind of resonates with you, Liz, and conversations you've had with folks, things you're hearing.
I think that it aligns with everything that I'm hearing. And I almost think like we have to think about, as a marketer, I almost think about leadership as like they're the influencers in your organization. Like they're the ones who people respect. They trust their voice. They're looking at those communications that we're sending because we all know we're fighting for people's eyeballs in those few seconds. So I think that tracks with everything that I've been seeing and I think how we should be approaching them.
And I think it's a chance to really do some testing right now as well in the field. I mean, while you have this, I wouldn't call it downtime necessarily, but we're really using the summer and early fall to kind of test out our messaging, see what works, what doesn't work, again, especially from the PAC side of things, before we hit this critical 2026 election year. So you can try out different messengers, right? You can try out using your CEO and putting their name on a message. You can use your senior leaders. You can use peer-to-peer. So I think this is a good chance to do a little bit of that A/B testing that I've learned from you, Liz.
Yes, we've got a good runway right now. It's getting shorter, but we still have a good runway before it's okay, pump the brakes, we're going for it. But no, I love that. I guess have there been any new trends you've seen since running these surveys a couple months ago?
Yeah, I mean, I think that still by and large, folks are, telling us anecdotally that they are leaning into working with their senior leaders, making sure they have buy-in, again, especially while we have that quote downtime, if we can even use that. I do think, though, we've seen a little bit of hesitation. We've had, a number of folks say, we're worried that if we send our messages out to people broadly, there may be an kind of adverse effect of that. Are we going to get bad feedback? Are people, kind of looking at the world as a whole? And things are tough right now. Like, we're not going to sugarcoat that. We know what the political landscape looks like. We know what, our kind of national and international landscape looks like. So we're in this a little bit of a period of uncertainty, I think. And that's maybe the trend that I would lean into. But I do think that if you're willing to target certain groups and just be really intentional with your messaging, maybe not just blast something to your entire eligible class, right? But take this chance to be really targeted and try a few different messages out, I do think that people will still find success. I think we just need to change and shift our minds a little bit. Maybe those broad solicitations worked in the past, but it might be time that we step away from that and really take a more targeted approach.
I love that.
So, Liz, with all of this in mind, everything we already just covered, where do you think we go from here? And let's talk first about kind of the more traditional methods of communications and engagement. What are you seeing people lean into for tactics? What should people be looking to implement right now in this latter half of the year?
Yeah, of course. I think always take these with a grain of salt because you know your audience the best. And if I say one of my things I think I'm seeing or people might be leaning into is like the in-person events or engagement tactics. Like you want to have your printed items like flyers, anything like a thank you note. Shameless plug for Kim's most recent episode, where they dive into thank you note and how important human connection is. So definitely go watch that. That's my shameless plug for the day. But even like mailers, I think things like that might be coming back as everything's so digital and heavy right now. But on the digital side, I always think there's an opportunity for those mobile first engagement strategies. So short-term video, everyone says video is king. I think it's still king. It's not going anywhere. And I also think people forget putting a video together doesn't have to be a full production. A lot of times I'll just grab my phone, pop it up and tell Kim, here's your line or your talking point, say this, and it works. And it is more human. There's a lot of AI generated content out there right now. And I think seeing it be a little more human and maybe it's not perfect actually resonates a little bit more. And you can easily repurpose these things. So it doesn't have to be one clip for your internal social. You can cut that into a few clips. You can embed it in an email depending on where you're hosting it, and you can even include it on your website. So you can get a lot of return out of one small video. So I think that's something that people should continue to lean on or start if they haven't. If you really want to lean into the entertainment part of some of that mobile first strategy, I think a few people have been talking about this, but I think maybe more people could be leaning into it is gamification. So incorporating badges, recognition boards, or even leaderboards on internal platforms. I think that's always going to increase involvement. It's fun and it's motivating. But I would always just say, don't forget your traditional communication methods. We often see that email always performs the best. Your newsletters are always popular. It can be a lot of work to put these together. But when you intersect them with your broader engagement strategies, I think it's powerful and you see a lot of payoff. So those are the things that are at the top of my mind, at least. But I'd ask if you've seen anything in your conversations with members too.
I love that. I do think people are leaning into the authentic video. I think you're right, like not making it too highly polished. I mean, it's great to have a canned pack video that has all your messaging, your brand exactly as you want it. Maybe it's more highly designed. But when we're thinking about like getting leadership involved and doing peer-to-peer and wanting to incorporate video, I mean, authenticity is king, to use that phrase. And I think just from my personal experience, doing more video through BIPAC and what you and I've worked on our marketing, I'm not great being scripted. Everything I do is so much better when it's just kind of off the cuff. So I think leaning into that with folks and making them feel comfortable in that it doesn't have to be highly scripted, can go a long way with people. So I think that's just on the video specifically what I would lean into. And then I would also say take this time to survey your PAC members, your broader eligible class, people that are not participating and contributing to the PAC. I know we're leaning a lot in on PAC right now, but I mean, incorporate these things in your advocacy programs as well. This doesn't just have to be soliciting for PAC dollars. I think you can use all these same tactics for advocacy. But I would say take this time, consider doing a survey. I know a few folks that we work with have done recent surveys, and some of the information they've gotten back has been really solidifying of the tactics they've been taking, but they've also found some new nuggets of things. And we've already had great brainstorming sessions where we've just like come up with brand new opportunities just from a simple survey. So I would say, I mean, and Liz, if you have any, I know you do a ton of surveying and we do a lot of it. If you have thoughts on that specifically, please jump in, but I definitely would take this downtime to do that as well and see what you get from it.
Absolutely. I mean, you can always learn something from a survey, even if it's affirming what you said or you're thinking, like you kind of mentioned, like you've learned something, like keep doing what you're doing and maybe tweak a few things. So I'm 100% behind all the surveys. We do our surveys every month and then we get all this great data where we can have conversations. So I love it.
Exactly. Well, so we talked kind of about some of the traditional things. Video feels like for I think a lot of us kind of starting to move into the emerging trends because we know sometimes political affairs is a step behind the other types of marketing and digital creative out there. But is there anything like really new, really unique that we should at least keep our eye on that maybe down the road we could consider incorporating in our political affairs programs?
Yeah, so given that my role is more marketing and communications driven, that's the space I'm most connected to, that I'm listening to webinars, podcasts, like reading articles. That's where I'm doing all my learning. It's not necessarily new, but I've been seeing it talked about in different ways, and it's definitely been brought up more. And it's something that I'm all on board on, which is storytelling, and it's driving everything that you're doing. And I'm even like focusing on storytelling as I start my planning for next year. Um, but I think what makes a great story can be applied to these government relations roles and stories that we're telling in our communications. Because, I mean, when you think about what makes a great story, you're helping people overcome something or connect to something. That's the first thing. The second thing is that it's simple and repeatable. Anyone can tell it. Your leadership can tell it. Your ambassadors can tell it. Like it's easy to repeat. It's digestible. I think the third thing that I heard recently is humility is key. We aren't the hero in someone's story. We're there to guide them or support them. We're here to help them and make their life better. We're not the hero. It's not about us. And then just telling your story consistently. So reinforcing these themes across your channels and initiatives are not like one-off. Everything's connected and consistent. And I think that's something that a lot of people could probably apply to their advocacy programs, their PAC programs to get out the vote. I think it connects to all of it and back to the mission of why these programs are existing. So I think that's something that a lot of people could take a step back and maybe focus on a little more.
Yeah, I really like that. It helps to simplify things too. I mean,
Yes.
if you're saying the same things, right? I mean, yes, we're using different mediums, we're using different messengers, but if we have that consistent story and we're leaning into the human elements of it, and I like that you're not the hero of the story
Right?
necessarily, right? Like you're trying to put this back on your end users, your PAC eligibles, if that's what we're doing, right? You're trying to incorporate them and help guide them and make them understand why these political affairs programs are so important for the entire organization. So it's not just about you, it's about them too and bringing them in. So I love that. And it makes people want to feel included, right?
Yes.
I still think that holds true. People want to be a part of something. So if you can lean into that, simplify, have a consistent story. That's what I'm hearing from you.
Yeah. And
And
the
really
story
something to
makes
lean
me
into.
feel better than,
Yeah.
hey, participate in this letter campaign. Hey, give me money to like a story that makes you connect to my life is going to make me want to participate 10 times more.
Right. And report back. Make sure people feel like they're a part of it, right? I mean, if we've had a PAC solicitation or an advocacy campaign and we met our goals and we were successful, tell people, right? They
Yes,
want to know that they were a part of something that was exciting and successful. Don't just leave them hanging.
absolutely. No, it's post and ghost. You don't want to like post and ghost. That's what
Yes.
people say in social. So you don't want to just run a campaign and ghost them. Keep that feedback loop going. So 100%. No, I love that.
Awesome. That's such a great tip and such a good takeaway. Don't post
Yes.
and ghost. I'm gonna
Yes.
I'm gonna start saying that. I haven't heard that before. Very cool. So, Liz, before we wrap up for today, now that we're in the middle of summer, people are taking fun vacations. I'd like to ask, do you have anything fun coming up? Anything you're looking forward to?
I do. I actually have a UK trip planned for this summer, which Kim knows because she approved my time off, but I love talking about it. It's actually my first time leaving the country, so I'm pumped. We're doing Scotland, England, all the fun things, so I'm excited to bop around there in August. But Kim, what about you? Because I actually don't know what your summer plans are.
Yeah, we don't travel a lot in the summer, to be honest. So I'm living through you and your trip to the UK, and happy to provide recommendations because I've been there a handful of times. Got some family there
Please.
as well. Shout out to the family in England, who may or may not watch this episode. We'll see. But yeah, definitely happy to give recommendations on that. We are looking out though to the fall for some things. We're gonna head out to California in August for a couple concerts. We're gonna see Dua Lipa and Blink 182 out there in October, and then we are hopefully going to Ireland actually in November. So those are some things I'm looking forward to, but not to the fall.
Yeah.
So I'll be around and in the DC heat for most of the summer.
Well, I don't envy any of us in this DC heat, but we won't get into that. We'll wrap it up. It's always great to get to talk trends and tactics together. I love our episodes where it's just Kim and I getting to talk about what's going on. And if you like these episodes, be sure to subscribe, share with your network, check out other episodes, and you can even consider sponsoring us for more conversations like this one. So thank you all, and bye.
Everyone.